And if I had known this when I first started practicing semen retention, it would have made it a much more effortless and sustainable lifestyle for me to follow. Hey, what's up guys? I'm Jonathan White. I'm here to help you master your sexual energy so you can manifest your ideal life. If you want to learn more about sexual mastery, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to stay notified when I release new videos. Make sure you get my free ejaculation control course to the link in the video description below. Sign up for my free male sexual mastery secrets online workshop on April 9th. I'll put the link in the video description. In this video, I want to share what I wish I had known when I first started practicing semen retention, right? First of all, your intention, the reason that you're practicing semen retention, your goals and what you're, hoping to accomplish from it is the most important aspect, right? And this may not be as obvious as it seems from the outside. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I want, more energy. I want all the women to be attracted to me, things like that. But I mean, really getting clear about why are you doing this? Why do you want to practice semen retention? Because semen retention is either something that you do for yourself, or it's something that you do for others, or maybe kind of a mix in between, right? Let me give you some examples of this. What does it look like if you're practicing semen retention for yourself? It looks like you are adjusting your lifestyle in a certain way, being conscious of the way you express sexuality in a certain way to make sure that you're not depleting yourself, you're not depleting your energy, you're not engaging in unhealthy behaviors, and you are staying balanced, you are keeping your energy levels high, keeping your mind clear, staying productive in the world, creating a life of truth, a life of beauty and inspiration, right? What does it look like to be practicing semen retention for someone else? It looks like feeding your ego, right? Oh, I can go longer without you than ejaculating. Oh, I'm on day 600, bro. I see these things appearing all the time now in the semen retention community, and in my opinion, it's bullshit. It's you gratifying your own ego to impress someone else. You're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for someone else. You're doing it to say you have a certain, number of days you went on. It becomes you proving to others that you're better than them, right? And this is an ego trap. If you're doing semen retention this way, it's not going to be sustainable. You're gonna hit a brick wall. What does it look like to be doing semen retention for yourself and for others? I mean, it could look like a lot of things, maybe a mix of what I've just said, but in my opinion, it's that I'm nourishing myself. I'm cultivating my sexual energy in a harmonious way. I'm engaging sexuality in a certain way that, brings me the highest energy. And therefore I have more energy to share with my partner, more energy to share with my family, my friends, more to give back to the world, right? And I think that approach I've just said can be, very healthy, right? So there was a certain point when I began practicing semen retention that I was getting a bit obsessive about it. Like, okay, I can never ejaculate again. I'm never going to ejaculate again, no matter what. And, as much as I wanted to, it just didn't happen. Maybe after 6 weeks, I had a wet dream. After a certain amount of time, having sex with my partner, I would accidentally ejaculate. And it was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I failed, What a guilt trip to create for yourself, right? I have guys, reach out to me all the time. They're like, oh, I went a month, I went 2 months, and then I ejaculated. It was a relapse. I failed. What do I do? It's like, what do you mean, what do you do? You went a month, 2 months without ejaculating, that's fine. Like, you haven't really lost anything, right? There's a huge difference between ejaculating once a month versus ejaculating every day. Here's the pattern that I see, right? And this is really a common pattern in all of humanity, is to go from one pattern of extreme to another, one unhealthy extreme to another. And in this, semen retention world, what this looks like usually is you go from ejaculating every day to porn, masturbating every day to ejaculate, right? Obviously, this is an unhealthy pattern that will deplete you over time and cause imbalances in your psyche, your mental body, your energy body. And then from this, there's often the tendency for people in NoFap and semen retention to swing to the polar opposite. It looks like I can never ejaculate again. I can never experience orgasm, never have sexual pleasure. I have to be a monk. I have to, never touch this part of my body again. This is just as unhealthy. To suppress your sexuality in this way, to suppress something as natural as sexuality, it's eventually going to drive you insane. And I see this all the time. I see guys who, especially now, recently, I've been getting so many emails about people like, oh, I'm so sexually frustrated. I'm 4 weeks in, and I'm getting angry at my girlfriend. And because it's the springtime, right? We have much more abundance of sexual energy in the spring. And a lot of men can't handle this high level of energy. And so I say, okay, well, first of all, you should be doing these certain practices to transmute and channel your sexual energy, to change the form of it. So it's just not this raw, sexual desire that's controlling you. If you're not going to do that, then you should probably ejaculate, release that energy, right? So this is the dynamic, right? is as you're building this energy, which you're building a massive amount of energy. When you practice semen retention, you must either channel that energy in your body, and this takes direct practice. Like going to the gym, working out, it's not going to be transmitting your sexual energy. You're just burning off a bit of excessive energy. Regular meditation probably isn't going to completely transmute it. It's going to still the gene a little bit, kind of still this, edge of sexual desire, but still not going to transmute it for you unless you're doing specific meditation alchemical practices, right? So that's the first thing is, okay, you have all the sexual energy built up. Well, you better be channeling it and transmuting it. Otherwise, yes, it will start to take you over. And if you're not going to do that, then after a period of time, you should probably release that energy and start over. This is cyclic semen retention. The reason for this is that when your sexual energy becomes stagnant, meaning that you're just, holding it back, not doing anything with it, not circulating it through your body, not expressing it through, having sex with your partner in a non-ejaculatory way, not, putting it into creative work and things like that, then you have an enormous amount of sexual pressure that's turning you into a horny beast. It's feeding your ego. It's making you feel irritated, angry, and just, kind of a maniac, right? Who wants to live like that? I certainly don't. So if feeling good and feeling balanced is no longer your number one priority, then I think it's really time to look at that pattern and see maybe something's a bit off, right? Because that's the understanding I had, was like, wow, if I'm retaining for 2 months and no matter how much sexual transmutation practice I'm doing, I still feel like incredibly horny, then maybe I should release that energy and kind of restart the cycle. And in the context of sex with a partner, this is very healthy because you're allowing an exchange between your partner, other than you like, no, I need to hold all this back for me. This pattern of contraction, this is one of the most unhealthy patterns I see men get into in semen retention. NoFap is this pattern. It's a contraction pattern, this obsession over I can never ejaculate, stop ejaculation, stop it, right? That word stop becomes your mantra in a way, right? And that's exactly what happens. Things stop in your life. Things stop flowing. Joy stops, inspiration stops, creativity stops, and you just are a congested pressure cooker ready to explode at any second, right? And of course, the remedy to this is to be constantly circulating your sexual energy through your body. I don't think you should be practicing semen retention if you don't have the basic energetic skills of moving that energy out of your balls, move it through the microcosmic orbit pathway in your body, store it in your dantian, bring it into various organ centers, which will change the form of the energy and nourish you. If you're not doing that, then you're going to have issues after, a certain period of time. I had this guy reach out to me recently, this NoFap guy. He's got quite a following. And first of all, he's like, hey, I want to pay you to sell my ebook. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't, support a lot of the philosophy that people in NoFap are teaching. So, and I have my own course I'm selling. So thank you, but no thank you, right? I immediately got that egotistical, I'm better than you vibe from this guy, right? But, I was, polite as I could be. And he says to me, he's like, I don't like that you're posting sexual images. So on my Instagram, I post some, artistic sexual images that I think really capture the dynamic of, sacred sexual energy exchange, which sex is, right? Or at least it can be. And so I tell him this, I'm like, well, this isn't porn. This is artistic images that express healthy sexuality. Because he told me he's, meditating and teaching people to transmute their sexual energy. He's like, these sexual images bother me. I'm like, well, I hate to tell you, but we live in a very, very sexual world. And if you can't handle sexual stimulation, then it's obvious you aren't actually transmuting your sexual energy. You are simply suppressing it, right? And this is the other thing is like when you're doing NoFap or semen retention, but you can't even something slightly sexual starts to trigger you and you have this overwhelming urge to masturbate and ejaculate. This is a clear sign that you are not in control of your sexual energy. You haven't learned to transmute and channel it. You are simply suppressing your sexual energy. You're shoving it into a closet saying, I don't want to deal with this right now. I'll deal with it later eventually, because you're going to have to eventually. And then this slightest sexual thought, blows the closet door off its hinges. All this repressed sexual energy overwhelms you. This is what's happening in this dynamic of sexual repression. So you can't even engage with the world because everything's going to trigger your repressed sexual urges, right? This is a completely different approach than what I practice and what I teach. What I teach is not to suppress anything. I don't think you should stop having sex if you don't want to. You don't even have to stop masturbating if you don't want to. The issue here is not sexual pleasure, sexual stimulation. The issue is excessive ejaculation. So without learning to overcome this addiction to ejaculation by learning to rewire yourself to experience sex in a way that is not focused on peak orgasm, ejaculatory orgasm, when you learn to hold sexual arousal and desire in your body without it overwhelming you, this is a sign that you're starting to achieve mastery. Another question people ask me is like, what do you do when you have sexual urges? I say, I don't do anything. I just feel the sexual desire I'm feeling. I'm okay with feeling that. I'm okay with, okay, maybe I saw this sexy image and oh yeah, it's a bit arousing. That's fine. I don't need to resolve that because I have a very open and flowing energy system. So when I feel arousal, I feel it. I just allow myself to feel it. I'm able to ground that feeling without it driving me to take action. And if it's distracting, I can simply move that energy through my body, move it through my orbit, change the form of it, and store it. So it's instead of like, oh God, I can't handle this, I need to shove this into the back end of my subconscious. No, it's about, okay, let's bring this fully into the focus, fully feel this desire, this arousal I'm feeling, and then change the form of it. So we've taken that charge and we've put it to work versus like sticking it in a closet somewhere. So what I'm really trying to stress here is having a healthy, mentally healthy, physically healthy, emotionally healthy, balanced, and sustainable approach to semen retention. For me, semen retention isn't even like my focus. It's not even my primary goal. It's like, oh, I need to make sure I go long periods of time without ejaculating. It's not something I even focus on. For me, it was a natural evolution of my practice because I was studying Qigong, meditation. I was learning to move energy through my body to open up new pathways, new ways of expressing myself, new ways of expressing my relationships with others, new ways of expressing my connection with nature, the flow of qi throughout my body. And one aspect of that training was changing the way which I express my sexual energy. So instead of ejaculating it out, that being the sole expression of, oh, okay, arouse this energy, now I need to get it out of my body. Changing from that dynamic to, okay, let's generate a charge of aroused energy, then move it through the body, circulate it, store it, distribute it through the entire body so it's a little more dispersed, and now I can store that energy and put it to work. Now I can use that energy to drive me to be an artist, to be a speaker, to be a teacher, whatever, right? Because that was part of my practice, I was never focused on going long periods without ejaculating, but because my dynamic, my relationship to sex, to self-pleasure, to ejaculation completely shifted, where I was no longer addicted to or even, desiring ejaculatory orgasms all the time, that naturally led me to going long periods of time without ejaculating because I had a certain foundation in place of doing all this internal work, shifting these patterns in my body versus just trying to get straight to the end result, going like, okay, I want to go from masturbating every day, looking at porn to never ejaculating ever. Well, that's not going to happen overnight for most people. You need certain foundations. You need to do some psychological clearing. You need to do some rewiring in your body and your mind. You need to open up some channels in your body because if you just start to build up all this sexual energy in a body that's not prepared to handle that high voltage of a current, you are guaranteed to short circuit. And I see this over and over again, based on the number of men reaching out to me who've been doing semen retention and NoFap, and they're getting overwhelmed with sexual frustration. They're feeling this, ridiculous amounts of guilt and shame because they ejaculated once in 2 months. Oh my God. So stop focusing on, I can never ejaculate. Don't make it that focal point. If you ejaculate, so what? You're not ejaculating every day anymore like you used to. And there's nothing inherently wrong with having an ejaculation. It's a completely natural function of the human body. It creates life. It is a powerful release of energy. It's like a cosmic supernova, right? So when you get obsessed with holding some sort of natural expression back, you are asking for trouble. It's not about suppressing anything. It's about redirecting that flow of energy in your body so that you primarily start to experience that as an internal flow, and maybe occasionally you ejaculate. Not a big deal. If you were ejaculating every day for 15 years, you think you're gonna die because you ejaculated once a month, once every 2 weeks, whatever, a healthy amount for you is. So it really comes down to, do you think you can go the rest of your life shoving something in the closet, suppressing something, using that much force and obsession to try to change something that's a natural part of your being? I don't think it's gonna last very long. Eventually it's gonna take control of you. You're gonna go right back into old patterns. Versus if you take that sex drive, you kind of dance with it. You say, okay, how can I express this a bit differently? Maybe I go from ejaculating every day to ejaculating every 3 days, then once a week, then every 2 weeks. Simultaneously, I'm meditating, I'm doing Qigong, I'm grounding, I'm setting the energetic wiring and pathways in place to be able to safely handle this sexual energy and to be able to redirect it so it has another pathway to go in with skill. Now you are on the path of self-mastery, and this is a complete contrast to the pathway of force, obsession, and suppressing something which is completely natural and a lot more powerful than your conscious mind is. You don't have to live like a monk. You don't have to give up sex. You should enjoy life. You should feel bliss and joy and orgasmic, in your sexual cultivation path, but it's really up to you and how you wish to express that. You can live like a sexually frustrated monk, hiding away from everything, or you can engage in the world with self-mastery, with the transmutation of this powerful energy and truly become a master. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to learn how to really master your sexual energy, make semen retention a sustainable and enjoyable lifestyle, learn to handle high levels of arousal without feeling like you need to ejaculate so you can have non-ejaculatory sex for hours and have full body orgasms, being a master in the bedroom, check out my Multi-Orgasmic Man online course. Put more information in the video description below. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and leave a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. Have a great day.